Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at the get paginated data for schools function and what it's doing and where it's basically being used. So here we go.
Alright, so today we're going to be looking at paginated data for schools. So the first thing I'll do is find it. So here we have get paginated data for schools. And so this is basically where we have the function defined. So what get paginated data for schools basically is that the first thing we're doing in it is to separate into pages. That's the main aim. So if I, for example, when I run this, so that you can get a glimpse of what we're trying to talk about here. So we run this, and then we go over here, and then find, yeah. So now if I, for example, say 10 kilometers from where I am, and we're going to be looking at this later, but allow this time. And then we have, so basically all of the schools, you see they're sorted in alphabetical order because I've done sort by name. So basically alphabetical order, so starting with A. Then you see that we have this button next page over here. Then we have A, B, C, D, E, and then it's going to continue like this. This is basically in alphabetical order. Or if I say medium preliminary, and now if I search. So then we're instead getting it in a different order. And in the next page, then it continues. So how we're doing this is basically that when we're paginating, like when we're separating this into pages. So what we're doing is first we're applying the filters. So here if I go back, I say that I want to do median preliminary. So the preliminary median. So this is a filter I'm putting. This is how I wanted to sort. And then I wanted an ascending order according to that. So first we're applying this filter on the whole list of schools. So first we're getting all the schools within 10 kilometers. Then we're applying these filters on the schools. So we're applying this on the total list of the schools, and then we're separating into pages. So like here, as you can see, we have 3 and 4, so we have like 12 schools on this page. So first we're doing all the sorting and the filtering, and then we're putting out the 12 schools. So then we take 12 out of the sorted and filtered list, and put it out. So here we're using get paginated data for schools, but first we're going to be looking at the function itself. So here it has all of these values like the latitude, longitude, radius, page number, all of this, because all of these are filters that are needed to first sort like the whole list of schools. So then we select all of these. CTEs is something we're going to be going through later, but it basically stands for common table expressions, and we're going to be looking at it later. But for now, just know that there's something called that, and we're using it. So we're basically creating a table over here. So common table expressions. So that's what we're using, and we're making a table over here, and then over here after this. So we'll be going through this later when we actually know what a CTE is. But this is basically where we're getting all of this and we're applying all the filters. And then if program is not none, and then if year is not none, so basically we're applying all the filters and stuff. And then we're doing a try except finally, and then in the end returning the data if everything goes well. But we need to first go through CTE to understand this, so right now there's no point going through this. So just know that there's something called that and it exists. And then when we go to where get paginated data for school is being used, so here when we go to main, so you see we have get, so if we look at but here we've just defined it. Basically get paginated data for schools. So it's mentioned here once. But if we go over here and get paginated data for schools, it's mentioned twice. So one is where we're importing it, and the other one is where we're actually using it. So here we have the data list, and then we're putting in all of these filters that we enter over here, like the radius and then the latitude, longitude that it's getting from your location. So that's why it asks, can we use your location? before getting the radius. So I enter the radius and it needs to get our current latitude and longitude in order to get the schools closest to us. Then we have an empty list over here. Then for school and data list, so we're basically iterating through the list of data that we got. So imagine we got 100 schools which are in 10 kilometers of where I am. So then we're iterating through that and getting all of the data and then appending it. So list append into D. So this list over here, basically we're appending all of the values of D into it and returning the list. So that's basically how we're getting the schools. So over here, we're just returning this list with all of the data that we have about it. So you see, for example, we have Studiebag here. So then we get Studiebag over here. So all of this data that you see over here, all of this is basically displayed on the card over here. And we're going to be looking at that later when we go into the front end. But for the time being, we have basically this. So first we're doing the filtering and the sorting, and then we're actually doing like separating it into like getting the whole list and then separating it into like 12 in this case because each page has 12 schools.